This particular episode of the Comic Font is dedicated to one of my best friends in the world, Miss Jasper Adams. Jazz, this one's for you. Hey everybody, Chris here with the Comic Font, and this episode I want to talk about one of my favorite characters of all time. It's a bit of a left field stretch for some people, but for me, this is a perfect fit. I just love her to death. Her name, of course, Jennifer Walters, the She-Hulk. When I first read the comic back in 1980, it was during the whole Incredible Hulk television show craze. From the late 70s to early 80s, it was Hulk, Hulk, Hulk all the time, and I loved it. When I went to a local drugstore on the comic book spinner was the first issue of the Savage She-Hulk. It intrigued me to see a female Hulk, so I got the issue. When I read it, I didn't see a full-on female Hulk bent on She-Hulk smash mode like I expected, but something more, if that makes sense. It was like something was about to happen, we're on the verge of something here, and kind of glad I got in on the ground floor on this one. She-Hulk was created by Stan Lee himself. The first issue was written by him with artwork by John Buscema. Stan created the title as a way of hanging on to a copyright, just in case someone else, maybe a rival comic publisher, decided to create a She-Hulk title. It almost happened with another character about 3 years prior to this. Word got to Marvel about a proposed cartoon by Filmation called Spider-Woman. So Marvel quickly created the Spider-Woman character for Marvel Spotlight number 32 back in 1977. Just so they can have the claim on the copyright. Filmation had to scrap their Spider-Woman cartoon and rework it to Web Woman, which debuted in 1978 as part of CBS's Tarzan and the Super 7, which is a pretty good cartoon when you think about it. She-Hulk, real name Jennifer Walters, got her Hulk power through a blood transfusion from her cousin, Dr. Bruce Banner, the Hulk. Thing is, since she didn't get her Hulk powers from a full-on exposure to gamma radiation, she doesn't have the full strength of the Incredible Hulk, but she's still hella powerful. She was called Savage at first, and she was, indeed, Savage, more barbarian than Barbie, let's put it that way. But soon the true intelligence of lawyer Jennifer Walters started coming through. From that point on, she was able to control the transformations. After some time, the Wasp invited her to join the Avengers. During her first tenure, she was transported to the battle world in the first Secret Wars. At the end of that, with the Fantastic Four's thing depowered, Reed Richards asked She-Hulk to join the FF and be the team muscle, basically. With the character being popular again, Marvel created another series, the Sensational She-Hulk, written and drawn chiefly by John Byrne. This series was a bit more tongue-in-cheek. While the Savage series showed Jennifer getting used to being a powerful She-Hulk and tormented by which side she preferred, the Sensational series showed more of a fun side to the character, engaging in fourth wall breakage, the likes of which would not be seen until Deadpool started doing it a few years later. And yeah, she's beautiful. I can address that. But we can blame the gamma radiation for that. A lot of the scientists in the Marvel Universe theorized that the gamma radiation can unlock, as it were, the inner desires of the irradiated. Bruce Banner was abused as a child, and that inner rage coupled with the need to protect himself gave the Hulk that strength and brute force. Emil Blonsky was just ugly on the inside, and when he became the Abomination, that ugliness transferred into his form. Samuel Stearns was a not-too-bright janitor who wanted to be smart, so the gamma rays turned him into the hyper-intelligent leader. Jennifer Walters saw herself as meek and timid, almost mousy. That was actually brought up in Savage She-Hulk number 1. When she got the gamma-irradiated blood, she became what she thought was the ideal woman. Strong, sexy, capable. She's had several runs, several series, a reinvention or two, but one constant remained. An Emerald Amazon who's also a damn good lawyer. She wasn't a stereotypical big dumb muscle freak. She was a smart, caring, loving, confident person who just happens to chuck a Sherman tank like a kickball. And that's what ultimately drew me to She-Hulk. Because even though she's got all that power, even though they could have been easily painted as like a big dumb muscle, like I said earlier, she wasn't. She chose to be a lawyer and a good person who just happened to be a Hulk, rather than the Hulk who was a lawyer. Hulk litigate! Nah, that doesn't sound right. But with her powers and abilities, coupled with her intelligence and her legal savvy, makes her for an interesting character to begin with. And an interesting character throughout. She's in the Avengers right now, and she's kicking a little bit of butt in there, so pick up a few issues where you can. Now, here's some of my top issues that she appeared in, some of my favorite storylines and all that. And there's no real order to them. They're just there. I just like these stories a good bit. So I'm not really doing a top 10, top 15 or something like that where I rank them. These are just my picks. So rank them how you will. Savage She-Hulk #1. The She-Hulk Lives. This is the origin issue, of course, that started it all. Tells the story of Jen Walters reuniting with her cousin, Bruce Banner, and him admitting to her that he's the Hulk. And she's telling him about this court case that she's involved with, involving these two, I won't say mafia, but these two connected individuals. And where some hitmen are coming after her, they shoot her. Bruce chases them off, and so to help save her life, she received a blood transfusion from Dr. Banner, who just happened to have the same blood type. And because of that gamma radiated blood inside her, when she was threatened by the hitmen in the hospital, she hulked out for the first time and just showing the raw power that she has. But she's a little more intelligent than that. She's still like I said, barbarian, but more intelligent. So it was a good read. Marvel graphic novel #18, The Sensational She-Hulk. This is a story about a night on the town between She-Hulk and her boyfriend at the time, Wyatt Wingfoot. Of course, during that time, S.H.I.E.L.D. decided to send some androids down and capture her because they thought she would probably be a Hulk-level threat. So they wanted to study her. And study her they did by making her disrobe right in front of everybody. Of course, then Dum Dum Dugan gets involved and shuts that whole thing down. Oh boy. So they examine her, and it was a rough thing onto it. We find out that she's being held in prison or something like that. And at the same time, something's going on the helicarrier that they're on, so she's got to stop that. And so during all this time, she's also trying to figure out what she likes better, the Jen Walters side or the She-Hulk side. So She-Hulk finds out what's going on in the helicarrier, defeats the big bad in there, and then all of a sudden sets up one of the most, I hate to use the word beautiful here, but it is one of the most beautiful helicarrier smashes you will see in your life. She's trying to destabilize the radioactive core, and doing so, at least according to Reed Richards' diagnosis, locked her in She-Hulk form. When Reed tells her that, she just looked at him and said, well, what's the bad news? Avengers #221, New Blood. This is where She-Hulk joins the Avengers for the first time, at the insistence of Janet Van Dyne, who wants a few more women on the roster, which made sense since at the time she was the only woman on there. So this is a good issue. It basically starts off the whole unique dynamic between her and Hawkeye at the time, and just to see her carry a caddy on her shoulder just like a boombox, that's worth it right there. She-Hulk Volume 1, #4, Web of Lies. Just to see Spider-Man say that J. Jonah Jameson hates him because he's black. Whole thing's a winner. Fantastic Four #275, The Naked Truth. This basically shows what happens if you try to do some private sunbathing on top of the Baxter Building, when a helicopter with a camera takes some pictures of her in the not so all together, but there you go. And her battle to try to get the pictures back from the porn magazine that bought them. Avengers Volume 3, numbers 72 through 75, The Search for She-Hulk. This shows what happens when Jen goes full Hulk, destroying the town of Bone, Idaho. At the end, she regains control, and now she has an understanding of the guilt that her cousin Bruce endures when he goes full Hulk. Brilliant done by legendary writer Jeff Johns. Make sure to pick up his Doomsday Clock when you can. She-Hulk Volume 2, #4, Back to Bone. She-Hulk, or rather Jennifer Walters, returns to Bone, Idaho to survey the damage that was done from the previous story arc, Search for She-Hulk, and try and repair not only the city, but herself. She also investigates a death that was blamed on her, and there's a surprise revelation from one of the characters in this issue. I'm not going to say anything. I want you to pick it up, download it from Marvel's site, anything. I will say this. It not only impacts She-Hulk, but her cousin as well. Avenging Spider-Man Volume 1, Number 7. Whatchamacallit? A Spider-Man She-Hulk team-up that has some catastrophic shenanigans. Pun intended. Basically, She-Hulk becomes an avatar of Bast, the Egyptian cat goddess, and she and Spider-Man have to figure out how to reverse it. And when it comes to the jokes, this is Spidey at his most Spidey, let's face it. Thing and She-Hulk, The Long Night. Basically a ride on the New York subway for Ben and Jen that turns from mildly irritating to a full-on adventure of what happens underneath New York, involving a good bunch of vampires along the way. But also what women like She-Hulk and women in general have to endure on the subway. Fellas, a reminder. Never catcall a woman, never try to grope, especially when that woman can kick your ass into the next county with one boot. Enough said. Guardians Team Up Number 4, featuring She-Hulk and Gamora. This is just for the fun interaction between Jen and Gamora. It's a fun read altogether, just seeing two green women beat up on a lot of intergalactic clones. It's a must read. You gotta read this. The whole Guardians Team Up series, very fun. I think you should pick it up. I think you should enjoy it too. Solo Avengers 14, Court Costs. This is the second story in the issue that features Hawkeye and Black Widow. This has a serious story with Jennifer arguing against the Mutant Registration Act in front of the Supreme Court, only to be interrupted time and time again to perform superheroics. I could definitely feel the frustration on this one. Hulk Volume 4, numbers 1 through 11, She-Hulk numbers 159 through 163. The latest run shows Jen dealing with PTSD following events from the Civil War II, and dealing with a more savage Hulk persona. Not savage She-Hulk, Hulk. She-Hulk smash kind of stuff. The issue numbers look weird due to the legacy numbering takeover at that time. But it is the complete run there, and it's totally worth your time to see how Jen deals with this. Especially with now her fear of becoming the Hulk. And dealing with the stress at the time. So basically it's a throwback to how Dr. Banner tried to deal with stress. So it's it also, like I said, it touches on post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's a worthy read. Give it a shot. Sensational She-Hulk numbers 1 through 60. The whole run. The whole unabashed run. This is where Jen becomes self-aware, that she knows that she's a comic book character. This happened a few years before Deadpool started doing it in 1997. John Byrne, being the writer-artist one-man band that he is, totally nailed it, giving Jen just enough humor to make her interesting again. He had a great 50-issue run on this one. In fact, the 50th issue announced John Byrne's death, and it was up to She-Hulk and the Marvel bullpen to find the right writer-artist combo to replace him. Unfortunately, this led to some inconsistency in the last 10 issues, with the shift of writers and artists throughout this period. It was hard for it to gel just right month to month in the last year of the run. However, reading them in one lump, one after the other, or in a graphic novel, it's a more pleasant experience that way. Still, the full run, totally recommended. She-Hulk Volume 2, Number 3, Time of Her Life. This is unofficially She-Hulk's 100th issue, continuing the appearances from her Savage, Sensational, and the previous volumes. In this one, Jennifer is fighting not only for her life, but for her very existence in the court of time law, the time variance authority, for trying to prevent Hawkeye from getting killed. We get a good look at She-Hulk's career from her early start through her tenures in the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and all the things that led not only She-Hulk, but Jennifer Walters to be a hero in high regard. Dan Slott did a great job with this one, and the artwork being handled by the top illustrators at the time. Truly an artist's jam, man. I'm telling you, everything just gels together. Everything's just beautiful read and all that. Great encapsulation of She-Hulk's career at that time. It's a wonderful read. It's got some crazy humor in it, and no self-respecting She-Hulk fan should be without it. I look forward to reading her every so often, not because she's a gorgeous green woman, or nothing wrong with that. But like I said, when it's done with the right writer, done with the right artist, you see her intelligence shine. You see her capabilities. You see her confidence. You see everything that makes her, her. She's a strong woman, not because of the Hulk power, but because she is for want of better phrasing, strong. Jennifer Walters grew from this so-called meek, mousy person that she thought she was into something that was inside her all along. This strong, smart, capable, confident woman who just happens to be drop dead gorgeous and, like I said, happens to toss a Sherman tank like a kickball. Below in the description, you're going to find the comics that I talked about. If you get a chance to pick up those individual issues or in the form of a graphic novel, do so. You'll be doing yourself a great favor. Again, this is Chris. This is the Comic Font, and y'all take care of yourselves. And remember, every Wednesday, new comic book day. So come pick up your favorites where you can. Take care of yourselves.